All right, so we were discussing about the ABC analysis, and I told you charge, time of supply, value of supply, ITC are the most important chapters. Then we should go to exemption and look at the notes. The reason why you should not look at the textbook for exemption is it goes into like 90 to 100 pages. And the day before the examination, or even at this point, it might not be very ideal in terms of how much marks it contributes to. Then okay, then you have two more chapter I would classify as B category. One is supply. In that schedule, one is important, a lot of questions. Section 8, composite supply, mixed supply, and there is a circular of sales promotion scheme, which is important there and being tested in multiple examination. In your procedure part, registration is the most important chapter. So registration chapter 7 is also B category. In that section 22, the threshold limit has been tested multiple times. Section 30, this time, section 30, since from the last examination, section 30 has an amendment. The revocation area is being tested, and Aadhar authentication is also an amendment. There has been questions on Aadhar authentication being repeated as well. Then C categories chapters which are procedure like invoice, payment, returns. But please note here, even though I would call these procedures a C category because not every examination asks questions from these chapters, but there are few areas inside these chapters which are A category now because there has been amendment and there is questions that is being repeated from there. So if you look at invoice chapter, due date of invoice has been tested last exam, last to last exam also. So section 31 is being, that can also be connected to time of supply and being tested. Then there is this amendment called E-invoicing. Even for this examination, E-invoicing threshold limit has been changed. So E-invoicing can be tested. In our RTP also, we have a question on E-invoicing latest threshold. Then dynamic QR code. So if you look at three amendments came together, dynamic QR code, E-invoicing and QRMP. So if you look at the last examination, they asked QRMP. Last to last examination, they asked E-invoicing. So in the three musketeer amendment that came in, the dynamic QR code is not yet tested. So if you are asking me like, sir, predict one question that could probably be there, I would say dynamic QR code has a high chance of being, there in the examination. Then in terms of payment chapter, section 50, interest on delayed payment had an amendment, and that has not been tested in the level that is expected to be tested. So there could be a computational question on section 50. That is also something you can look at. All of this has example question in the material. So if you're not looking into ICI textbook, what I only recommend you to do from here is that go look at the examples inside ICI textbook. When you're looking that also, please be watchful of the amendment. There are few areas like rule 36.4 that is amended in ITC chapter. Now the section 16 2AA is being introduced. So your textbook is not completely latest. So be aware of what area in your textbook has to change. I'll tell you when I'm discussing the RTP part, what and all has to be moving out of your textbook. If you're using an old textbook or the textbook that you bought which was relevant for November 22 exam, there's some amendments that will be applicable for that. On top of it, that is separately notified as a PDF, so you can club and then read. Now in return chapter, even now QRMP will become still important. They can ask a quickie question like 2-mark question, 3-mark question from QRMP. Even the computational questions can be tested. Then there is an amendment on maximum limit for late fee, which can also be an examination question, or even in an case study MCQ, they can ask a question on that. Then introduction chapter is a free read for you. It's not very important. So finish this first 4 chapter, then go to the next 3, then go to the last 3. Even if you're not getting, suppose you're in a position where you're not getting time, and on the last day before the examination, you're not having time to revise everything, then you don't revise the entire areas in invoice, payment, returns. Instead, you go to these specific areas that I've marked as A category, and then trust your memory that you'll remember when the other areas when you're there in the examination, how it comes back like that. Okay, so your memory will just like that come. So even today, there will be half of you would be thinking that, okay, my God, I don't remember anything from any subject that you're taking. I'm pretty sure, no, I had that particular thought. Like I went for theory papers to the examination hall thinking that nothing I will be able to write because I was not able to recollect the way that I wanted to. But in the examination hall, your mindset is different. You're there to do the best that is possible out of the 3 hours. So something you will make out of that examination hour. That's how the examination works. So you just have to trust that instinct and then go for the examination and then try to do your best there. Okay. So this is the basis in which I wanted to start. Let's get started with solving our RTPs. I'll recommend all of you to be on mute if you're not, so that there won't be any disturbance in the classes. Now, like any other RTP, the first question in RTP is generally a case study question. So I will read the question. When we are reading the question, we'll read it with full George. Okay. So, till 9 o'clock, all of you guys have to be fully immersed in this particular discussion. The RTP is pretty simple this time. You will be able to learn the whole RTP in an hour. Not even 1.5 hours is required. But we'll try to discuss a little bit of provisions also, so that the clarity comes into you in the right method in which it should come. Not that you just solve this question, you should be able to solve questions which is relating to this as well. All right. Okay. So I'm going to read the question. You're not reading it separately. You're reading together with me. Okay. So you can look at the screen, or you can look at the PDF if you have, or if you have taken the printout, you can look at the RTPs in that way also. Okay. So it's coming out of revision. So even if you don't have the revision done already, I am here to do the revision. So don't worry. Okay. So you should not feel like you have not done the revision. How will I remember the provision? I'll do the provision revision also for you. Okay. Okay, so let's get started without further delay. Messrs. Delight Brothers, a partnership firm, is engaged in restaurant business. It is registered under Composition Levy Scheme under Section 10(1) and 10(2) of CGST Act 2017. My first question would be is this: can a restaurant opt for Composition Levy Scheme? See, there are two type of Composition Levy Scheme people will talk about. One is 10(1), 10(2), which is this composition levy scheme in normal cases, like where you pay, if you're a manufacturer, 1% GST if you opt for composition levy scheme. If you're a trader, you would pay 1% on taxable turnover. And if you're a restaurant, you pay how much percentage if you opt for composition levy scheme? You will pay 5%, which means you will pay 2.5% CGST and 2.5% SGST. So restaurants are allowed to offer composition levy scheme provided their previous year turnover is less than 1.5 crores, or if they are in some special states less than 75 lakhs. Now they're saying they were under that limit and they adopted for composition levy scheme. And now that it's composition levy scheme, you have to pay tax on a quarterly basis on the turnover. So a restaurant will pay 5% on the turnover in a state. Now the turnover in April is 12 lakh. Okay, they have given a monthly turnover. They're not asking you how much is, they're not saying is it monthly payable or not. They have given you monthly turnover. And this is the April turnover. In the month of May, it received new orders in the month of May to run mess facility for supplying food at Vishwas Public School, a higher secondary school. Then, Knowledge Institute of Technology and Engineering College approved by AICTE and UGC, okay, which is an approved engineering college. Then they're supplying it to a hospital. Okay, first of all, when food is given to a school, is there any exemption available to that? So you should first understand why this information is given. Then you should think, okay, catering given to a school, is there any exemption? So if you look at educational institution exemption available, if you look at educational institution, you would understand that there are exemption available to education institutions. So there are exemption available if the service is provided by educational institution, and there are exemption available if the service is provided to educational institution. There are three type of education institution which get exemption. Number one, preschool till high secondary. Number two, universities. Number three, approved vocational training institutions. Now, the services provided by them to three people: students, staff, faculty is exempted. Now similarly, if the service is provided by a third party to these education institution, now I've categorized these three category into three. Category 1 is school, category 2 is university, category 3 is vocational training institution. And when a third party provides services to an education institution, there is also exemption available. Now we will have to understand, when services provided to an education institution, it is provided by a third party, what kind of exemption is available? Do I have that exemption blanket, free exemption for everybody providing to? No. First of all, they have categorized what are the type of services for which you will get exemption. Also, they have said which category of institution get exemption. Now, if you look at the first service, which is transportation of student staff faculty, it is exempted only if it is provided to the first type of education institution, which is preschool till high secondary. Second one, catering midday meal system, which is exempted only if it is provided to the first category. Security, housekeeping and cleaning, which is also mentioning one additional point, it should be provided in the premise of educational institution. It should be provided in the premise of school. So for example, the school is conducting an annual function in an auditorium, and there is some cleaning service provided in that auditorium for that event. Will that service will be getting exemption? No, no exemption available, because it should be provided in the premise of education institution to get the exemption. Then admission or conduct of examination is exempted if it's provided to all the three. Then online education journal or periodical is exempted only if it's provided to the second category. So this is the exemption that is available. Now going back to our RTP question, you understand that it is provided to Vishwas Public School, a higher secondary school. Catering services will it be getting exemption? Yes, it is exempted. But is it really relevant for us? Because this person has already opted for composition levy scheme. So if he's providing, he will have to still pay taxes on his turnover only. So that is something that we'll have to see how the question is drafted. Then, will this engineering college catering services provided to engineering college will come under which category? Category 1, 2, 3. We have seen three categories. It comes under category number 2. Category 1 is school. Category number 2 is universities and colleges. Category 3 is vocational training. Now, this is under category 2. Thereby, there is no exemption. This will be taxable. Now, hospital. There is no exemption that is available when I provide service to hospital. So when the hospital is providing consultation, there is an exemption. When the hospital is giving food to its patients who are admitted, has an exemption. Now, if I provide to hospital, there is no exemption. That's also taxable. Okay. Then it also provided catering services to Coral Limited Company for their annual general meeting. Okay, so they have provided service to another company. Service was provided on 3rd July, but invoice was not issued by the firm to the company. However, payment is received on 25th July, for which bank account was credited on 28th July. The turnover of restaurant business for the current financial year is 48 lakhs. Okay, so in the current financial year, the turnover had reached 48 lakhs. In the current financial year, they had opted for compensation levy scheme only. Turnover is 48 lakhs. From the inception of the next financial year, Mrs. Delight Brothers will close down restaurant business. They are stopping their restaurant business. And they will start providing repairing of air conditioners. They are changing their business to repairing of air conditioners. Mrs. Delight Brothers undertakes intrastate transactions only. So there's a condition that if they offer compensation levy scheme, they should only do intrastate transactions. Based on the information given above, choose the most appropriate answer for the following questions. First one, computation of tax liability of Delight Brothers for the month of April. What is the turnover for April in the question? 12 lakhs. Okay, so what is the percentage that we will have to pay if they're restaurant under composition levy scheme? 5%. But if what is GST? How much is GST? 2.5%. 2.5%. Okay, so you tell me what is 2.5% of 12 lakhs? It will be 30,000. SGST also will be 2.5%. which is 30,000. So which option is correct? Which option is correct? Option C is the correct answer. CGST, SGST, 30,000 each. Everybody, is this clear? Can I have a quick yes on the chat box if this is clear for all of you? Okay. Next, out of new orders received by the firm in May, which of the following services are exempt from GST? They have got new orders. How many orders in May? In the month of May, they had 3 different orders that they have got. To school, to a college, to a hospital. They are asking which one is exempted in this case. One, provided to school. Second, provided to Knowledge Institute of Technology. Provided to Frontline Hospital, which is the only one that is exempt. Only to school is exempt. Only this is exempt. We have already discussed and concluded this. So which option would be correct? Only one. This is the correct answer. Is this also clear to all of you? Can I have a quick yes if you're clear on this? Okay. They're asking, can you determine time of supply for catering services provided to Coral Limited Company? Now, when you determining time of supply, there is an order in which we'll do the computation. Step 1, we'll have to decide, is it supply of goods or supply of service? Is this question about SOS or SOG? SOS, supply of service, or SOG, supply of goods? Which one is this? It is supply of service. So which section will come? Section 13 would come. That is talking about how to determine time of supply when there is supply of service. Now, is this taxed under forward charge or reverse charge? Restaurants, is there anything which is under reverse charge? No. Catering, is there anything under reverse charge we have learned? No. So it will be under forward charge, which means the subsection would be subsection 2. So the section that we are looking is 13 subsection 2. Now, what is that 13 subsection 2 says? How to determine time of supply for supplier of service. How do you determine time of supply for supplier of service? Very simple, straightforward understanding. The question what we should ask is the invoice issued within 30 days from the date of completion? What is that the question says? They have provided the service on what date? 3rd July, but invoice is not issued. If invoice is not issued within 30 days, what is that I'll compare? Date of completion or date of provision of service, I'll compare it with date of payment. Now, they have given date of payment 2 different dates. They said payment was received on 25th July, bank account was credited on 28th July. Now, if I have bank payment received and I have a bank entry date and I have a books of entry date, which date I'll take it as my date of receipt of payment? Which date I'll consider? Whichever is earlier. So whenever you have a bank payment and bank date and your accounting date is given, you take whichever is earlier. Which is the earlier date here? 25th of July compared with 3rd July, which is the completion date. What will be the time of supply in this? Time of supply will be if the invoice is not issued within 30 days from the date of completion, the date of provision or completion of service, or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. The earlier date is 3rd July here. That will be the answer. Is it clear? Okay. Very simple, straightforward, but it's covering everything. Then, now the 4th question. Which of the following statement is most appropriate in respect of next financial year? Option A, Delight Brothers can continue to avail composition levy scheme under 10(1) and 10(2) of CGST Act 2017. Delight Brothers is not eligible to avail composition scheme under 10(1), 10(2). Delight Brothers is not eligible to avail composition scheme under 10(1), 10(2), but can avail benefit of composition levy under 10(2)(a). Delight Brothers can neither avail composition levy scheme nor under 10(2)(a). Now the question is, can they continue to do composition levy scheme? Why? Because they stopped their restaurant business and started repairing of air conditioners. Are they allowed to continue composition levy scheme? No. In composition levy scheme, only one supplier of service can opt for composition levy scheme. When I say composition levy scheme, I mean 10-1, 10-2, wherein you pay 1%, 1%, 5%. Who's the only service provider who gets this particular option? That is the restaurant. And they're saying they're stopping their restaurant business and they're starting repairing of air conditioner, which is not eligible for composition levy scheme under 10-1 or 10-2. Now, what is the next question? Those people who could not offer composition levy scheme had another option, another scheme for concessional payment of taxes called as 10-2A. But it had an additional condition to be satisfied. What is this additional condition to be satisfied? What is the additional condition? Their aggregate turnover, should be within some limit. What is that limit? 50 lakhs. It should be within 50 lakhs. In case of composition levy scheme, it was 1.5 crores. Now, for this scheme, the turnover limit has to be less than 50 lakhs. What's their turnover limit for this year? They wanted to offer it for next year. This year, what's their turnover? 48 lakhs. Can they offer it? Yes. So, which option do you think more appropriate? Which option do you think is more appropriate? Option C is more appropriate. Perfect, everyone. This is the correct answer because they're not eligible for composition levy, but they are eligible for 10-2A. Is it clear? Now, the last question in our case study is, what is the rate? The rate of GST applicable for service of repairing air conditioners made by Delight Brothers will be dash, assuming that it intends to pay tax at minimum rate available. After they opt 10-2A, what is the rate that will be available for them? If they offer 10-2A, the rate available would be 6%. So, which is the correct option here? Option C, 6% is the correct option. Are you guys understanding this? Can I have a quick yes? If the first 5 questions are clear to all of you, this put together could be like a 10-mark question. This, in turn, I would consider is a very simple, straightforward question. So, it gives you an overall understanding on composition levy scheme, something on exemption, and something on time of supply. Those are the things that is being tested. Okay, so if you have some clarity on these chapters, okay, chapter 3, chapter 4 exemption, chapter 5 part 1, which is time of supply, then you should be good to go with this particular question. Okay, so Srivatsan has asked some questions on DM. There is one marathon class coming up. I'll give you the details by end of this. There's a free revision that I'm doing for November 22. So I'll give you the details by end of this discussion. The notes are available on my website. You can go and freely download my chart notes. Okay, now let's look at the next question, sixth question. This is a question wherein we compute net GST. And what I would recommend all of you do is that we're going to work out. So take your notes, pen, calculator, everything. We will have to. Please don't look at the answer. If you have your RTP, don't look at the answer. We're going to work it out. We are going to see if we are getting the answers. We will also see what are the working notes that we need to consolidate and write. We don't need to go with the exact model in which ICA is doing it. As long as your answer is correct and you consolidate all information, I would always prefer to have one common method for net GST computation, and that's easier to follow than do questions like this. First, we are going to read the question, then we will jump into writing the answers. Neelakant Private Limited, a registered supplier of goods and services at Kolkata, has furnished the following information for the month of February. Okay, now serial number 1. Intrastate supply of taxable goods including 1 lakh received as advances in January. The invoice for the entire sale value is issued on 15th of February. The same question was repeated twice in another question in the past in ICA old questions. So somebody who made this RTP was very lazy to frame a new sentence. They said, let me pick from something else and then put it here. That's what basically they have done. So here, what is that they are trying to test? When you receive an advance, what will be the time of supply for advance in case of goods? It will be the date of invoice. If I had received advances for, there is a notification 66 by 2017. Rafi has given the correct notification number. Also brilliant, Rafi. Good job. Now, the cases where if this was a supply of service, you would understand when it comes to supply of service, when an advance is received, time of supply would be the date of receipt of advance. So every net GST computation question will ask you to compute GST for a particular month. Which is that particular month in which we are computing GST here? It is February. And now what is that they're trying to test you with? They're saying that, so you got some money in Jan. So what they want you to do, they want you to reduce this 1 lakh from this 4 lakh and only include 3 lakh in this month. If you do that, they can reduce your marks. Or they want you to think correctly and then include the entire 4 lakh for this month and say that even if the advance was received, taxability comes only with the invoices. That's the working note we will put out. Okay, then purchase of goods from composition dealer registered in Kolkata. Now, first thing that we need to understand this kind of mix match questions. I'll call this question as mix match questions. There are questions which are neatly arranged, where they'll give you information of outward supply first. So we'll compute an outward tax liability. Then they'll give you information about input tax credit. Then you will compute input tax credit. Then you will do a set off. Very happy ending. But there are questions where give you zigzag. They'll give you an inward supply, then outward supply, then inward supply. So my question is, the first information, is it giving you a hint for computing outwards? Is it an outward supply or an inward supply? First one, it's an outward supply, so it should create an outward tax liability. The second one, does it create an inward supply or an outward supply? It's an inward supply, so we should be talking about input tax credit there. I purchased from a composition dealer. Somebody who had opted composition levy scheme sold goods worth 5,50,000 to me. When I go and purchase from somebody who opted for composition levy scheme, suppose he's a dealer or he's a trader. What is the rate of taxes that will be applicable to him? A trader who's under composition levy scheme. What is the rate? 1%. The trader, the person who opt for composition levy scheme would pay 1% if he's a trader. If he's a manufacturer, 1%. If he's a restaurant, 5%. He's a trader, just 1%. Now, what the most important thing that if the trader, then it's 1% on taxable turnover. If it's a manufacturer, it's on 1% on turnover. Okay, that's the difference. Now, the important point you need to understand, can he collect taxes from you? Can a composition taxable person get taxes from you? No, he cannot get taxes from you. So which means what? If he is a composition dealer, he would have paid from his pocket. He would have paid from his pocket. So basically, when I purchased, did I pay taxes? No. So if the tax was paid under composition levy scheme, can I take that 1% he paid from his pocket as ITC? No, he did not collect, because he cannot collect taxes. So if I'm under composition levy scheme, I will only pay 1%. That 1%, can I get it from my customer? No. Here I'm talking about, I am under normal scheme. I got it from somebody who's under composition levy scheme, a 5,50,000 worth product. Would I pay GST on this? No, he paid from his pocket. So can I take ITC? No. So don't add this to ITC. Instead, you write a working note. You can write working note in two ways. You can say input tax does not include composition tax. Or you can write section 17(5) blocked credit. Tax paid under composition levy scheme or section 10 is a blocked credit. You can't take credit of that. Then, services provided by way of labor contract. Is it an inward supply or an outward supply? I provided services, which means, is it an inward supply or outward supply? Outward supply. So, what is the service that I'm providing? Labor contract for repairing single residential unit otherwise than part of residential complex, as it's an intrastate transaction. Again, your understanding is that the same sentence was used twice again in previous two questions. So if we are getting question like this, you should be very happy. If you look at our notes that I used to give, I have two questions on the same sentences from the past ICA questions. ICA has also already used these questions into all that RTPs or MTPs or so. Labor contract for repairing residential unit, otherwise than part of residential complex, is it exempted or taxable? Single residential unit. I wanted to construct a house, a single residential unit. If I give a labor contract for construction of the same, it is exempt, but repairing is not exempt. This will become taxable. That is the understanding that you need to have. Okay, so this is taxable. Next, membership of a club availed for employees working in the factory. Is it an inward supply or an outward supply? Availed membership services. Is it an inward supply or an outward supply for me? It's an inward supply. If I avail inward supply of membership in a club, am I eligible to take ITC on the same? No, because it is blocked. It's a blocked credit. So I'm not eligible to take ITC on this 1,75,000. Okay, so I'll write it in ITC part and I'll write a working note saying that this is a blocked credit. Then, goods transport services received from a GTA. I received service from a GTA. Is it an inward supply or an outward supply? The fifth point, is it an inward supply or an outward supply? It's also an inward supply. Now, GST is payable at 12%. When I receive service from a GTA, there's a chance. The first thought process that your brain should give you is that, is there any RCM applicable? Then if the RCM was applicable, what would be the rate? It would be 5%. When will I have 12% applicable in GTA? When the GTA is opting for forward charge mechanism. Here it says that GST is payable at 12%, which means what? GST is payable at 12% means what? This is under forward charge. So I would have paid GTA and then GTA would have paid to the government. So can I take ITC of this? Whatever I pay to the GTA, can I take ITC of the same? Yes. I will pay 2 lakh plus GST to GTA. Can I take ITC? Yes. No problem. I pay to GTA, I take ITC. Then, interstate services provided by way of training in recreational activities relating to sports. Again, the same word is given somewhere else. So this is again given to confuse you guys. Is it, first question again, is it an inward supply or an outward supply? Services provided by way of. Is it an inward supply or an outward supply? It's an outward supply. Recreational activity relating to sports. Where did you see this? Somewhere in exemption. The first exemption of charitable and religious activities has a point. Training or coaching in recreational activity relating to arts and culture and sports by a charitable entity under 12AA or AB. If this training, recreational coaching means what? Fun training. It's not a certificate training. If somebody is giving a certificate training on sports, football, cricket, it is exempted provided it is the coaching should be provided by whom? A charitable entity. In this question, is this company a charitable entity? Is it a section 8 company? In this question, is it a section 8 company? Do they have any other information like that? Neelakant Private Limited, registered supplier of goods or services. It's a private limited company, not a section 8 company. So will I get exemption on this? Or is it taxable? It's taxable. So we'll have to write a working note and say that only by a charitable entity will be exempted. Okay, so this is outward tax liability will create. Then, interstate security services provided to ABC High Secondary School. See, this point is something that we've already discussed in the previous question. If it is provided to a second high secondary school, is it an inward supply or an outward supply? It's an outward supply. It's a service provided to a school by them. Okay, so next question is for their annual day. So interstate security services provided to ABC High Secondary School for their annual day function organized in Fintech's auditorium outside school campus. Security, housekeeping, and cleaning services provided to the first category is exempted. What is the condition? It should be provided in the premises of the school. Is it provided in the premise of the school? No, it's provided outside the school campus. So will I get exemption? No, this is taxable. Next. Inputs to be received in 5 lots. Is it an inward supply or an outward supply? Inward supply or an outward supply? It's an inward supply. Out of which it was supposed to be received in lots, out of which second lot was received during the month. If the goods were supposed to be received on lots, when can I take the ITC? Only upon receipt of last lot. So this is not eligible as input tax credit. So these are the information. So I have lots of inward supply, lots of outward supply, jumbled across and given. So in the question, you should always think which is inward, which is outward. Then you should prepare. Then the company has following ITC at the beginning of the tax period. There's a opening credit, CGST. There's no opening credit of SGST. Whenever there is no opening credit in between for one of these CGST or SGST, it means that you should be careful. Be careful about ITC of IGST settlement. You should be very careful about IGST set off here because you have one another this nil. So you might have some benefits to use your turnover limit in some way or the other. Then rates of CGST, SGST, IGST are 9%, 9%, 18% respectively. Both inward and outward supplies are exclusive of taxes wherever applicable. All condition necessary for availing ITC has been furnished. Turnover of Nilakant was 2.5 crores in the preceding financial year, so they're not eligible for compensation levy scheme. You're supposed to compute the minimum GST payable in cash by Nilakant Private Limited for the month of February. Make suitable assumption as required. Shall we compute? Shall we go ahead? Okay, perfect. So take your notes. Let's go ahead and then do the computation. So answer to question 7. Question 6, sorry. So any net GST computation question should start with a title which would be computation of net GST payable by Nilakant Private Limited for February. How many columns should I have? Any Vijay Kumar has asked me to explain point number 3 once more. If this is the same question you're asking doubts, I will explain the whole thing. We're computing now, we'll write working note also. So don't worry, okay? So if after we solve it full, if you still have confusion, you can ask me. Okay, so what's the format we need to have? We need to have a column for particulars. Value, GST, SGST, IGST. In that, first we will compute outward tax liability. Computation of outward tax liability. So we will list down all the outward supplies that we have here. First one, what is the first outward supply we have? Only go to the outward supplies. Intrastate supply of taxable goods. How much is the value we should take? How much is the value we should take? Should we take the entire 4 lakh or only 3 lakh? Entire 4 lakh. An intrastate supply. So how much will be the taxes? What will be the outward tax liability? 9%, 9%. How much will be that? 36,000, 36,000. Second one. What is the next outward supply? Labor contract. Service by way of labor contract. Is it taxable? Yes. How much is the value? 1 lakh. Is it an intrastate supply or an interstate supply? It's an intrastate supply. Okay. Then, what is the other outward supply we have? Which point? Point number 6. Training on recreational activity. That is interstate. Recreational training. We will also note the working note numbers. This is working note number 1. This is working note number 2. This is working note number 3. Value is 1,008, 10,000, right? Yes. So how much will be that? 1,800. Then, is there any other outward supply? Yes, we have interstate security services. That's working note number 4. 15,000. How much will be 18% of 15,000? 2,700. Is there any other outward supply we have? No. Balance all others are inward supply. So we have already covered the 4 outward supplies that we had. Outward supply, this is covered, and this is covered. Now we will do a total. What's the total that we get of the GST? So what's our outward tax liability? 45,000. 4,500. Is this correct? All of you? What's the next thing we compute? Is computation of ITC eligible. Computation of input tax credit eligible. How many inward supplies do I have? Purchase of goods from composition dealer, 5,50,000. Am I eligible for ITC? Working on number 5. Am I eligible for ITC? No. 5,50,000. Not eligible for any ITC. Nothing. Second purchase. Membership of a club. Is that eligible as ITC? No, it's a block to credit. Oh, we missed out is we have an opening credit. So always when you have opening credit, let's always write opening credits now. First, let's write the opening credits. There's an opening ITC. You have an opening ITC, always remember to put an opening ITC. 57 nil 50,000. There is no compulsory requirement that you should write it in first, okay? But just for the sake of not missing out, it's always best to write it in. One lakh 75,000. Then what's the next inward supply? Inward supply from GTA. It's an interstate transaction. So GTA is paying tax at 12%. Two lakh. How much will be the credits? 24,000. Because it's 12%. Because it's already given GTA is paying 12%. Then so this is also over. Now the last inputs received in lots 40,000. Can I take credit? No. So this could be like that 8 mark kind of a question. How much is the value? 40,000. No credit, no ITC. What's the total? 57,000 nil 74,000. Okay. Then part C, computation of net GST payable. What do we do? You need to compute minimum taxes payable or net GST payable. You can write it in any order. First, we will rewrite outward tax liability. How much is it? 45, 4,500. What is the first ITC that I have to utilize? ITC of IGST. Right? What is ITC of IGST? 74,000 is the ITC of IGST. First ITC of IGST should be set off against what? IGST. So 4,500 will go here. Now balance should be set off against CGST or SGST in any order. Do I have any credit of CGST available? Yes, I have over credit of CGST available. So do I have any credit of SGST available? No. So I will set off 45,000 fully against SGST. Do I still have IGST credit available? Yes. Do I have to finish IGST credit? Yes. I can go to CGST and SGST credit only after IGST credit is fully set off. Now, how much is the extra credit that is available? So this makes it 45 plus 4,500, 49,500. I have 74. So 24,500 is still left. I'll set off 24,500. Right? Now that IGST is over. Now, what is the next credit I have? ITC of CGST. I have 57. How much is required now? 20,500. What is the net GST payable? All nil. Excess credit carry forward. How much is the excess credit to carry forward? 57,000 minus 20,000 makes it 37,000. So 36,500 in CGST will be carried forward to next month. Double underline. The final answer. Are you guys clear? Now, how do I write the working note? All provisions. I'll give you an exam tip. If you're writing all provisions from CGST Act, then you write a common wordings, all provisions from CGST Act. Don't keep writing all again CGST Act, CGST Act and all. Enough. Now the first working note would be in case of advance received. So as per notification 66/2017, date of receipt of payment, omitted. Duty, time of supply for hence time of supply here as invoice date or date of working note number 2. Labor contract for construction of single residential unit, otherwise than part of residential complex. Is exempt. What is the notification for exemption? Prepare as taxable. 12/2017. Okay. Then third one, recreational training. Only recreational training in sports by 12 charitable entity section 12A of Income Tax Act. that is exempt. Then security service provided to security service provided to preschool to as secondary in the premises of education institution only is exempt. Fifth, inward supply for which tax paid under the section 10 is a block to credit. Which section talks about block to credit? Under section 17.5. Sixth working note is what? Membership of a club. Tax paid on membership of a club, the block to credit. Under section 17.5. Then the research from GTA. I've written GST. It's GTA, okay. Taxes payable under overcharge when CTA opts for paying GST at the rate 12%. Same is available as uh, when goods are received in lots. Products credit can be taken only upon receipt of last lot or installment under section 16 subsection 2. There is one more working note we can write. In TC of IGST should be utilized only first. ITC of IGST is first set off against IGST, then against GST or SGST in any order. These many working notes you can write. See, lavish. Done, everyone. Your institute answer can be slightly different, but don't bother. Your right answers are correct. You'll get full marks on this. Done. Can I go to the next question? Any confusion in any part of this? Vijay was asking some. Okay, perfect. So everything is clear. So this question, I wish this question comes in as the first question, as the compulsory question in the examination. I think that'll be the best exam, no? 8 marks, just like that. Let's hope that. Okay, next. Question 7. All very simple, straightforward, but amendment related understanding. Ringim sales, a registered supplier receives 100 invoice for inward supply of goods or service involving GST of 10 lakh from various suppliers during the month of January. Out of 100 invoice, 80 invoice of invoicing involving GST of 6 lakh. I had 100 invoices purchases, multiple purchases I make. I get invoices from all the 100 people, 100 invoices. Then I open my portal and I see how many of them have uploaded this invoice details in their GSTR1. How many of them did it? 80 lakhs. So I added all the GST in this 80 invoices. I got how much? 6 lakhs. So out of 100 invoices, details of 80 invoices involving GST of 6 lakh have been furnished by the supplier in their respective GSTR1s filed on the prescribed due date. Therefore, and such details also have been duly communicated to the recipients of invoices in form GSTR2B. So in my 2B, when I opened, I found that the GSTR1 of my suppliers only 6 lakh is reflected. Compute the ITC that can be claimed by Ringim sales in their 3B for the month of January 2022 to be filed on 20th of February, assuming GST of 10 lakh, otherwise is eligible. Now, what is the change that we have in this particular case? Earlier, we could take 5% extra credit. Okay, so this is testing which area? Section 36(4). This now is more or less irrelevant because it was giving you extra credit and all that. Now there's a new provision that is added inside the section itself called as section 16 subsection 2 clause AA, which says additional condition to be satisfied for you to take ITC. What is additional condition to be satisfied? For all the invoices you are mentioning 16 to A, which means all the invoices for which you want to take ITC, in possession of those invoices. How many invoices this fellow Rimjim sales have? 100 invoices. I'm in possession of 100 invoices. I got all the goods. All other conditions satisfied. But all these 100 invoices has to be uploaded by the supplier in their GSTR1. It should be reflected in my 2B, then only I can take credit. Here, how much credit you can take? How many invoices are reflected? 80. How much is the GST? 6 lakh. Only 6 lakh you can claim in which month? January. What about balance 20 invoices? Which month they upload, that month I can claim. If it is uploaded in February, it will be reflected in my 2B of February. Then I will claim it in my 3B for the February. Okay. In their GSTR1 they upload. 2B I can check if whether they have uploaded. If it is uploaded, whenever it's uploaded, that month I'll take the credit. If it was uploaded in April, go take the credit only in April. Are you guys with me? This is the fifth condition to be satisfied for taking credit now. Is it clear? Now what we do, we look at the answer. Okay. We don't have to write this, we can look at the answer. The answer, ITC to be claimed by Rimjim sales for in 3B. 80 invoices. So they have given invoices. How much is the ITC involved? How much ITC I can take? For 80 invoices on GSTR1, 6 lakh, I can take full 6 lakh. For 20 invoices not furnished, there is 4 lakh credit, but I can take nothing. So 6 lakh is the credit I can take. Okay. I can take 100% credit for anything that is reflected. No credit for something that is not reflected. Earlier, it was 5% extra credit. Now that is not there. Only what is reflected you take. Is it clear? This is an amendment that we have. Is it clear? Can I have a quick yes on the chat box, everyone? Okay. Then, question 8. This is also from an amendment. Examine whether supplier of goods is liable to get registered in the following independent cases. Rudra Builders of Rohini, Delhi is exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of building bricks. See, there is some goods that is given. This is also from an amendment. Its aggregate turnover in the current financial year is 23 lakhs. Now, registration for people who are only making intrastate taxable supplies under which section? It's under which section? Section 22. What is that section 22 says? Section 22 says that the basis for registration is threshold limit. Now, the threshold limit is based on aggregate turnover. Now, for that, we are classifying the states into three categories. Okay, special category, small, special category, medium, special, general category. Special category, small, has four states: Tripura, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram. What's the limit? 10 lakhs. Special category medium has how many states? Six states: Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Pondicherry, Telangana, Uttarakhand, Meghalaya. What is the limit? 20 lakhs. All other states are in general category. But if you are making supply of service or goods and service, then your limit in general category states is also 20 lakhs. But if you are making supply of goods in general category states, your limit should be generally what? It should be 40 lakhs. But certain goods has limit of only 20 lakhs. There are first, initially there was three goods. One is pan masala, tobacco, ice cream. We call them with a code word of PTI, pan masala, tobacco, ice cream. Now they have said we are adding four more goods into that category. One is fly ash bricks or fly ash aggregate with 90% or more fly ash content, fly ash block. Second, fly ash bricks of fossil meals, like the bricks that the white bricks, the black bricks, everything that you take from the earth by cutting it into pieces. Building bricks, the hollow bricks, ishtiga we call it, the soil bricks. Okay, earthen or roofing tiles, odor or roofing tiles. All of this, if you're supplying, your limit in general category states is now restricted to how much? 20 lakhs. Now they're in Delhi, but they're supplying what? Building bricks. What's the limit that will be applicable for them? 20 lakhs. What's the turnover? They are having 23 lakhs. Is this Rudra Builders liable for registration? Not liable for registration. They are liable for registration. Are you guys with me? Okay, let's look at the answer. The benefit of enhanced threshold limit of registration of 40 lakhs is not applicable to Durga Brothers, even though it's exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of goods in Delhi, as it is engaged in making supplies of building bricks. Thus, the applicable threshold limit for registration for Rudra Builders in the given case is 20 lakhs. Thus, they are liable to get registered under GST as the turnover is more than the threshold limit. Next. Look at the second part. Hira of Himachal Pradesh. Himachal Pradesh is in which category? Is it under Saptam or TNM2? No, it's in general category only. Yeah. They are exclusively engaged in intrastate taxable supply of footwear. His turnover in the current financial year from Himachal Pradesh is 32 lakhs. There's another showroom in Nagaland with turnover of 11 lakhs in the current financial year. Now, what do you mean by aggregate turnover? It's a turnover on all India basis. What will be the aggregate turnover of Hira? It will be 43 lakhs. Now, they have one branch in Himachal Pradesh general category, another branch in Nagaland, which is in which category? TNM2. What is the limit in Nagaland? 10 lakhs. What's the limit in Himachal Pradesh? 40 lakhs. Which limit should I apply? If I have more than one branches and one branch happen to be lower limit, one is in higher limit, I'll apply lower limit. So I'll compare 43 lakhs against 10 lakhs or 40 lakhs? 10 lakhs. Whether I should take registration? Yes. Hira could be eligible for enhanced threshold limit of registration 40 lakhs in. However, Hira is engaged in supply of footwear from special category state Nagaland, limit is 10 lakh. Thus, liable to get registered when the turnover exceeds 10 lakh. They have to take registration in both Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland where they are making taxable supply. Next question, question 9. Fashion Queen Limited, registered under GST and dealing in baby products, has an aggregate turnover of 40 crores in the preceding financial year. Tax consultants of Fashion Queen Limited advised to issue e-invoice mandatorily. They say it's mandatory. However, Fashion Queen Limited is of the view that since aggregate turnover less than the threshold limit applicable for invoicing, it is not required to issue invoice. You're required to comment upon the validity of the advice given by tax consultant. What is the limit for applicability of e-invoicing? Person required to issue e-invoice. This has been changed. All registered business with an aggregate turnover less more than 50 crore in any preceding financial year from 17-18 onwards was the wordings. But look at this. With effect from 1st January 2022, which means all those amendments till 30th of April is applicable for you. Now from 1st January, this is amended and said whose turnover exceeds 20 crores. So what is the limit now applicable for invoicing? 20 crores. So now 50 crore is changed to 20 crore. Now the most important part here is always we say in the last year if it exceeds 50 crores. No. In e-invoicing and dynamic QR code, in e-invoicing and dynamic QR code part, it is not talking about last year aggregate turnover. It is talking about any preceding financial year from 2017-18 onwards, which means somebody who had a turnover, my 2021-22 aggregate turnover was only 15 crore, but 2018-19 I had an aggregate turnover of 30 crores. Last year 15 crores, but 2 years back or 3 years back my turnover was 30 crore. Whether e-invoicing is mandatorily applicable for me, do I have to upload my invoices, get an invoice, the reference number, and then put it on my invoice? Should I issue invoice in INV1 form? Yes, it is applicable because they're saying any preceding financial year, the wordings that they've used is if it exceeds 20 crore in any preceding financial year from 17-18 onwards. Any 1 year, if it exceeds, it is applicable for you. Now, going back to this question, is this their turnover is 40 crores, man? Is it are they mandatorily required to issue invoice? Are they mandatorily required to go ahead and then issue invoice? Yes, they are mandatorily required to go ahead and do invoices. Are you guys with me? Okay. So their advices by the tax consultant is correct. Their advising given by the tax consultant is correct. So their limit is 20 crores. So the advice given by tax consultant mandatorily is valid in the law. Then Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, a government department registered under GST, has aggregate turnover of 50 crores in the preceding financial year. You are required to comment whether Ministry of Communication and Information Technology is required to issue invoices in the current financial year. Government department, their turnover is 52 crores. Is it more than 20 crores? Is it more than 20 crores? Yes. Whether they will get some kind of an exemption from issuing issuing e-invoices, Yes, there are exemptions. Even though your turnover, e-invoicing is required for what kind of supplies? Is it required for B2B supply or is it required for B2C supply? It is required for B2B supply because the concept of e-invoicing is for ensuring there is no fake invoices, proper credit movement. The ITC has to flow easily. That's the whole idea of giving e-invoices. Next question, dynamic QR code is applicable for B2B or B2C? E-invoicing is applicable for B2B. Same kind of questions can be given for dynamic QR code also. It is applicable for B2C. The limit for e-invoicing is what? 20 crores. The limit for dynamic QR code is 500 crores. So you should be careful. That kind of question also can come. Now, the exemptions are also very clear. Okay, it's very, very close by. Same kind of exemption is available. We have a code word. We have a code word for learning that. I'll tell you how you learn who are not applicable for people who need not do e-invoicing. We have a code word called as PC Gibbs. Gibbs used to be an old Gibbs used to be this is to be the method in which we used to learn in classes. Gibbs is an old cricketer. No, it's bald head guy. So we used him and then we said there is this personal computer and Gibbs. Together, if they come, these people need not do it. What is P stands for? What is C stands for? What is Gibbs stands for? Yeah, six sixes, yes, but yes, yes. There's a match that you will all remember against Australia. Gibbs was amazing opener in that match. Anyway, Gibbs is useful for us. PC Gibbs need not issue invoice even if their turnover exceeds. What is P? Passenger transportation supplier. C. Cinematographic exhibition supplier. G. GTA. Government and local authority. There's an amendment. They've added government and local authority. This government department, do they have to go ahead and then issue invoices? Not required. I stands for insurer. B stands for banking company, financial institution including NBFC. S stands for special economic zone. Who is having exemption from dynamic QR code? It is PC GIB. Special economic zone is not there because that's anyway excluded separately. So PC GIB only will come. Again, passenger transportation, cinematographic film. Here it's only GTA. Then insurance, banking. This is how we'll do the exemption from dynamic QR code. So you should be very careful and you should learn that part also. Okay. What is the answer for this question? They are not required because the government is exempted from doing dynamic QR code. Now, the last question in our RTP is about Aadhar authentication, which is an amendment. It's a theory question they have given. The answer for this question can be written with 1 mark, 2 mark, 5 mark, 10 marks, anything you can write. So, because you can write the whole procedure. Aadhar authentication is not required for persons who are already registered under GST. What's your answer? Is the sentence correct? It is not correct. It is required for everybody who's taking new registration, even required for people who are already registered. Now, when you say already registered, who are the persons who will have to go ahead and then do Aadhar authentication? I'll go through the answers. The given statement is incorrect. Aadhar authentication has been made mandatory for new registration as well as existing registration. For the existing registration, every registered person shall undergo Aadhar authentication, furnish proof of possession of Aadhar in the prescribed form and manner. A registered person was issued a certificate of registration shall undergo Aadhar authentication and Aadhar number of, if it's a proprietorship firm, proprietor's Aadhar. If it's a partnership firm, any partner. If it's HUF, Karta. If it's company, managing director or any whole-time director. If it's an AOP association and all that, any member of managing committee. If it's a trust, trustee in the board of trustees, and the authorized signatory who is signing for the GST, their Aadhar authentication has to be done. Then only they will be able to apply for revocation of cancellation. If they don't do Aadhar authentication, this will not be available for them. Refund in RFD1 will not be available to them. Refund for IGST paid exports, that also won't be available to them. Now, first proviso provides that if an Aadhar number is not assigned, what if I don't have an Aadhar number? Then you have an alternate method that is available. What is the alternate method? You can give your Aadhar enrollment. Okay, you apply for Aadhar number and you can even give an Aadhar enrollment slip. Then together with you can give your bank passport or voter ID or passport, driving license. Any of this can be an additional document to prove. And once Aadhar is given, within 30 days you can give the Aadhar. And there are certain people for whom this Aadhar authentication is not applicable. We had a code word for that also. What was it? LDS Cup. LDS is my firm's name, so we made a code word relating to LDS Cup. Who's not required to do this? Local authority, Department of Government, statutory body, who is not a citizen of India. Person holding UIN, public sector undertaking. These people need not go through Aadhar authentication. Okay. Those people are exempted from Aadhar authentication even if they already have an registration. Again, I'll repeat, LDS Cup need not go through Aadhar authentication. These many people. It's all theory. Chances of you being tested on all of this is less. But since there are amendments, I'm just saying that you should be careful about these as well. Okay, so I'll repeat again. LDS Cup means local authority, Department of Government, statutory body, not a citizen. C stands for not a citizen of India. They'll not have an Aadhar. No, UIN means it is issued to United Nations and all that. I don't want them to go through an Aadhar. They don't have an Aadhar, right? And public sector undertaking. I trust these people. They don't have to verify themselves. So these many people need not go through Aadhar. All others have to go through Aadhar. And I've given you like these are the people who will have to go through Aadhar. If it's a proprietor, they themselves, or a partner, or a karta, or managing director, and managing committee member, a trustee, or an authorized signatory. If they don't do it, they don't get to apply for refund. They don't get to apply for revocation. They don't get to apply for refund of IGST paid on exports. They don't have an Aadhar. Apply with an Aadhar enrollment slip and some other ID proof. Okay, when you get an Aadhar, within 30 days you do the Aadhar authentication. This is the provision that we have in terms of Aadhar authentication that is given. Okay, so that's it for this November 22 RTP questions. That's all we have for GST. The last RTP and last to last RTP is already available on my website. So I hope you will be able to go through that. Now I want to make that big announcement. So the announcement is that so last to last time we did it and it was really helpful. I'm doing a brief marathon revision of 5 hours, which I will do the revision with the chart notes that I have. So the revision is happening on 7th November. That is like the day the day after your costing examination. You have 2 days gap this time. The first day evening. Okay, 7th November evening 5 o'clock. We're doing it on a Zoom. It's a free 5-hour live revision that we're going to do. The whole concept is going to be revised in that particular discussion, so that in case if you want to get a full brush up of the topics the day before the examination, that's what you should catch up me with. And I've already opened the registrations that is going on. It's there in my website, calijillakshman.com. The first link is a Google form you can just do. I'll send the Google form, the Zoom link. You guys can join with that. And this particular RTP discussion, if you had missed out, I have already recorded it. I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel. So in case any one of your friend wants to look at an RTP, instead of going through RTP, wanted to watch an hour of RTP discussion with the related topics, go ahead and then suggest them this video. I'm going to put it right away on the portal. So you have other classes also available. I have already done revision on input tax credit chapter. I've done a revision on registration chapter. Both of them are available on the on the YouTube channel for you to go ahead and then look at. So this is what I have it on the free classes aspect. Then I don't think it's ideal for me to talk about the paid classes on a Sikasa event. So if you guys wanted to purchase classes and all that, you should contact me directly. I don't want to talk about it on a public platform. Okay, so Thank you so much for your patient listening. I really, really wish this session was useful for all of you, and you got some kind of a value addition spending 1.5 hours with me. And I hope you will not stop with this. You will go ahead and then put all that vigor for the next, two couple of weeks, and probably another 2 weeks of writing the examination. And I really, really, really gonna pray for all of you to have the best of 3 hours for especially tax examination, and especially for your group and the exam coming up in November. Somebody had asked about my notes. It's also available on my website. You can go and download. So thank you so much once again for your patient listening, and I wish you a good night and great learning from here. Thank you so much, and thank you Ernakulam Sikasa for giving me this opportunity. It's my pleasure, coming on board with Ernakulam Sikasa anytime.